Next up, we're going to hear from Mr. Chris Grove of Commerce Resources, who's going to kick off our exploration section. Mr. Grove became president of Commerce Resources in September 2014, following being added to the board in 2012. Prior to that, he worked as corporate communications for the company since 2004 and has significant contacts within the financial communities of North America and Europe. Mr. Grove has assisted the company in raising around $100 million for Commerce Resources over the past 17 years to advance the development of both the Blue River Tantalum and Niobium project in BC and the Ashram Rare Earth / Fluorspar project in Quebec. Chris, it's great to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining.
It is my pleasure. Good to see you, Ryan. Have you got a nice little fire going on in the fireplace behind you?
Soon enough. It was 3 degrees this morning, so I'm chopping wood this afternoon.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, it's a pleasure to present to you today and the assembled group. And let me see. In terms of screen sharing, I just clicked on screen sharing. Am I already screen sharing? Maybe I am.
Yeah, go ahead and click once on the slides to take control.
There we go.
And now you can click again. Yep, thank you.
Super duper. Well, it is a pleasure to present to the audience our Ashram rare earth element and fluorspar deposit in Quebec, Canada. In terms of planet Earth crisis, oh, hang on. Crisis? What crisis? Yes, that is me sitting in a deck chair there. Absolutely. Ultimately, I think, as everyone understands, and more so, I think this fall or in the latter half of this year, climate change is real. And in terms of affecting a positive change to climate change, more rare earth elements are needed. And other speakers, I'm sure, have hit these notes many times already today. So I'm going to skip on in. Commerce was able to raise about $8 million in the last year, which was great. But I would like to go over a couple of points in a rare earth element reality check. Rare earth element mining is not intrinsically more harmful to the environment than mining any other commodity. And please do not equate historical Chinese extractive methods with what is going on in China today or with Western operations. And the Canadian National Instrument, the 43-101 legislation, is the most stringent mining legislation in the world, where we have strict criteria for water and soil quality, and environmental baseline data collection is well underway for our Ashram project. And in general, rare earth element mines are typically low volume, high value operations with smaller tailings facilities. In terms of rare earth elements, let me say that I believe all roads lead to monazite. Monazite is the industry preferred mineral to extract rare earth elements from due to its high neodymium and praseodymium content compared to bastnasite in xenotime. In terms of events in the last year, everybody would already know that Energy Fuels was successful in retrofitting their White Mesa mill in November of 2020 to process monazite material. You would also be aware that in August of 2020, the Saskatchewan Research Council announced they were going to build the first rare earth element processor in Canada, which only processes monazite as well. Ultimately, let me just say that then I believe that all roads lead to our Ashram rare earth element fluorspar deposit, which is the largest monazite dominant defined resource in North America. Clicking slide now. Hang on, we're jamming up. There we go. The Ashram Rare Earth Element Project is located in Nunavik, which is essentially the top third of Quebec. Nunavik is under what is called the James Bay Northern Quebec Agreement, which is an excellent, probably the most codified piece or codified agreement in terms of how to advance a mining project in North America. This is a modern agreement with clear mechanisms in place for Indigenous dialogue, consultation, and resource management. Commerce Resources owns 100% of the project. We're very happy that the government of Quebec are shareholders in Commerce Resources through a direct equity investment of $1 million in 2017. And let me draw your attention to this little Stornoway Haul Road, with which the government of Quebec financed in 2010, 2011, and which was paid back by Stornoway out of profits from their operation. That would be the second road of a similar length of a road that we would need to get our material to market, similar to the road that was built originally in 1996, 1997 for the Raglan nickel mine, now owned by Glencore, also financed by the government of Quebec. I'll leave that hanging there, but let me also say at this point that we could be operational without such an all-weather road and operational for about 3 months of the year on an ice road. In terms of rare earth elements, here's some mineralogy and geology fundamentals. There are rare earth element projects, yes, are not necessarily rare. And the majority of rare earth element projects are hosted by some minerals that have never been commercially processed. There are over 150 rare earth element minerals that hold amounts of rare earth elements, but only 4 are commercially processed today. And that number has not changed at all in the last 20 years. Monazite, bastnasite, and xenotime account for over 80% of global production. Only monazite, bastnasite, and xenotime are amenable to producing high-grade mineral concentrates. And the host rock type for over 80% of global production is the carbonatite. The Ashram deposit has all of these traits, along with our demonstrated ability to produce high-grade mineral concentrates at high recoveries. In terms of a comparison of the ashram between the other producers on planet Earth today, you can see that the majority of them are carbonatites. You can see that many, like Bayan Obo, are monazite dominant, as we are. In terms of a direct comparison between us and Bayan Obo, the world's largest producer of rare earth elements, you can see that we both are carbonatites. You can see that we're dominated by monazite mineralogy with a bastnasite secondary, and in the case of the ashram, we have a xenotime spice, which increases our percentage of the heavy rare earth elements. And the other difference I would point out is that we have a slightly higher distribution than does Bayan Obo in the all-important NdPr. We also have, or the ashram, I should say, is arguably the world's second largest fluorspar deposit in a defined resource, and that is second only to Bayan Obo. In terms of a graphic of the deposit itself, we have drilled the ashram down to below 600 meters, and this is consistent mineralization from surface with a negligible strip ratio. And it is consistent mineralization all the way down from surface to below 600 meters, excepting for this indigo area here, which we call the middle heavy rare earth oxide enriched zone, which we would be operational in for arguably the first 10 years, and where there is an increased amount of NdPr. The current resource for the ashram right now is 1.6 million tons measured, 27.7 million tons indicated, and 219.8 million tons inferred in the total resource. You can see in the pie graphs below here the general distribution for the overall deposit with 16.6% neodymium, and then over in the MHREO zone where we have 18.6 neodymium. Ultimately, as I've been saying, the importance of the magnet feed, or if I haven't said it, the 4 most important rare earth elements to the market today are the 4 magnet feeds. And you can see that our distribution in the MHREO zone is actually higher than Linus's, higher than Bayan Obo, and significantly higher than the bastnasite dominant deposit, which is Mountain Pass Materials in California. In terms of the economics we released in 2012, this had a pre-tax NPV of $2.3 billion and a pre-tax internal rate of return of 44%. However, this was only based upon what we had produced at that time, which was a 10% rare earth element mineral concentrate. We are now producing concentrates in the 40 to 50% range, and we have added an additional 10,000 meters of drilling to the resource. And so the resource that will come out in the pre-feasibility study will arguably be more material into the indicated and measured categories. As well, in the PEA in 2012, there were no byproducts considered, and certainly at a minimum, the fluorspar byproduct will be incorporated and considered in these economics. In terms of the importance of the magnet feeds and their current appreciating prices, the prices that we used in 2012 was arguably a very conservative set of prices, with using $60 per kilo of neodymium, which is now actually, it went up $1 today by the source we subscribe to, which is Buy Info out of Beijing. It's actually $98 today in today's report. And praseodymium was listed at $103 per kilo. So that increase of value will be very interesting to see reflected in our economics in the pre-feasibility study. Ultimately, the ashram would be broken up into two projects: the north site, where all of the extraction would be done, and the beneficiation on site, essentially producing a approximate 10% flotation concentrate. And then there would be an airstrip and a haul road or an ice road, which we could be operational on, as I said, for 3 months out of the year. And then ultimately would transport the material from Ungava Bay by barge down to our southern site, where we would do the hydrometallurgy. In terms of the process flow sheet, this is basically as standard as it gets in the rare earth element industry. You can see it broken up into the operations that would be at the mine site, and then in the operations that would be downstream at the downstream hydrometallurgical facility. I'm going to take a drink. There we go. I would like to draw your attention to the magnetic separator. At this point, we produce a 45 to 50% rare earth element concentrate, while at the same time, and essentially for free, we produce a better than 80% metallurgical grade fluorospar byproduct, and that will be included in our economics in the pre-feasibility study. Due to a low estimate of our percentage of fluorospar, which is approximately 7%, and an extraction rate of 1.4 million tons per annum, we estimate that we should be taking to market somewhere around 70 to 80,000 tons of a metspar product. Or alternately, we are looking at producing an upgraded fluorospar product, basically acid grade fluorospar. And we will certainly look at the economics of incorporating that downstream processing to produce that upgraded product, such as what we have already produced and delivered to a global commodities trader in December of 2020. This sample of acid-grade fluorospar was deemed by that commodities trader as commercially marketable. We're also very proud of the sample that we produced and delivered to an industry processor in March of this year, which graded 44.3%. And in that rare earth element concentrate sample, it was 21.2% NdPr, arguably, again, a commercially marketable sample. In terms of the work that is ongoing for us, most of the work, our pilot plant, et cetera, is located at Hazen Research in Golden, Colorado. Nick Hazen arguably is the most respected man in the Western world at a minimum in terms of rare earth element processing and R&D. That is where the original Molycorp pilot plant was located. And Nick's father set up Hazen Research in 1961 and did all of the original metallurgy for Mountain Pass. This is where our pilot plant is located and where we are focusing on the next set of samples for industry majors. This is a partial list of some of the industry majors that have requested samples from us. Some are under NDA with us at this point in time, but as you can see, it's a significant list of interested parties in the material from the ashram project. This does not include the companies, the majors that have requested material or additional samples of our fluorospar byproduct. In terms of ESG, we're very proud of our record. We're very proud of the fact that the Quebec Mining Association awarded us the E3 Plus Award for excellence in terms of our environmental and social programs. And in the picture here, you can see our environment and sustainability manager, Mireille Smith, and our project manager, Mr. Darren Smith, and they are husband and wife. In terms of additional ESG, these are principles we take very seriously, and we're happy to have announced yesterday that we are participating in a research program to essentially continue to improve our rare earth element operations. And this is with Helmholtz Zentrum Dresden-Rossendorf, just outside of Dresden, and they are a nonprofit research organization and they are part of Germany's largest scientific organization, who also have a 3 billion euro annual budget. And at any rate, this will be, this program is designed to optimize our tailings for our rare earth element project. In terms of other aspects of ESG, we're very happy with the letter of intent that was signed between us and the two Inuit corporations in 2019, the Makivik and the Nuyumaviik Landholding Corporation. We have regular meetings to update the Makivik and the Nuyumaviik on our activities. As well, we've been very fortunate in terms of the very standard aspects of the ASHRAM material in being approached and having our material worked on by a variety of academic institutions. Some of these are federally funded, some of these are provincially funded, and we're very excited by the optimizations that these groups have been successful with, and these are ongoing, and these will be incorporated into our process flow sheet. In terms of the road, ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, the road, the Stornoway Diamonds Haul Road, that was financed by the government of Quebec and was built in 2010, 2011. We were asked by the Société de Planar, the infrastructure department ministry of the Quebec government, to distribute a letter of intent asking the two questions: if the government of Quebec built a road in the area, would you use it, yes or no? And secondly, if you used it, would you pay a percentage of the maintenance fee? And 8 companies, including Commerce Resources, signed that at that time. Since that time, there have been some very exciting developments, with Midland Exploration announcing a strategic alliance with SOQUEM, which is essentially an arm of the Quebec government, working on a $5 million strategic alliance just to the north of where the ASHRAM is. And also Midland working with the world's second largest mining company, BHP Billiton, looking for another world-class nickel deposit in the same area. Ultimately, to wrap things up, the ASHRAM rare earth element and fluorspar deposit is arguably the most attractive type of rare earth element deposit. It is a monazite dominant carbonatite. We have a huge resource. We're located in a great jurisdiction. We have produced high-grade rare earth element concentrates, and we have produced commercially marketable samples of monazite concentrate and acid-grade fluorspar produced and delivered to majors. We have very positive economics, as was released in 2012, not including byproducts, and we're very excited by the ongoing work to deliver the pre-feasibility study in 2022 and what exactly those economics will look like. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to present to you today. Any questions you may have, I'm certainly happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Chris. Great to hear the latest on ASHRAM. A couple of questions that are semi-related, but I think very important for anyone who's trying to understand the project. What exactly are the end uses of metspar and acid spar, and what do those products contribute to the economics of the project?
Well, you know, metspar actually saw a huge kind of COVID-related surge last year, and it still basically is riding pretty high. Metspar is used in the smelting process for steel as a flux, and also in the production of aluminum. And so having also one of the world's largest aluminum producers, owned by Rio Tinto in Quebec, and there's huge demand for fluorspar, we're certainly very interested in those discussions. And in terms of acid-grade fluorspar, that then is the input material to make the most caustic acid known to man, which is hydrofluoric acid. Ultimately, fluorspar is ubiquitous in so many different formulations. I mean, it's in your toothpaste. Fluorine is the gas that's in your refrigerator. It's everywhere. And the other interesting thing, and I didn't want to repeat anything that you may have said earlier, Ryan, but you know, the evidence seems to indicate that China became a net importer of rare earth elements in 2018. And sometime before that, China also became a net importer of fluorspar. This may be also part and parcel of Xi Jinping's drive to actually to show positive change in terms of the environment within China domestically and to shut down the most egregious mining projects, being rare earth elements and fluorspar. So China is a net importer of fluorspar at this point in time. And the interesting thing is that metspar usually traded at a significant discount to the value of acid spar, but it is currently, as we are informed by the world's largest welding supplies manufacturer, Lincoln Electric, who reached out to us last year, that metspar is actually about the same price as acid spar, which is somewhere north of $500 US per ton. So in terms of a 70,000 ton production of metspar, you know, that would add potentially $35 million to our revenue per annum. So it's a very exciting byproduct. Besides that, we do have an additional byproduct of niobium, which we'll discuss at a later date.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you for that, Chris. Exciting to follow the progress, and we look forward to seeing what's next for Commerce.
Excellent. Thanks, Ryan. Good to see you
again. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.